Hey there, I'm Bailey and welcome to my channel where we discuss all the tips and tricks necessary for you to live a life of adventure. Today, I'm going to be addressing one of the most common questions I see asked on a lot of the dog hiking Facebook groups, and that is, what kind of pack should you get for your dog? Now, instead of telling you like you should buy pack X, Y, or Z, I'm going to go through all the different kind of criteria you should consider to help you narrow down the best search for your dog. Because every dog's different, so why would I tell you to use A when it doesn't fit on your dog B, right? So some things don't fit together, some things work really well. So we're going to go through all the things that you can look at. I do want to throw out that in the future I will be doing some specific gear reviews once we get into the spring. Right now it's kind of cold, it's still winter here in Alaska, so do stay tuned if you want to see those videos and be the first to know, as well as get other tips and tricks for hiking with your dogs. Be sure to hit subscribe to my channel, that way you'll get all of those right on your YouTube page. All right. So let's dive in. The first thing I want to say is that you should really consider whether wearing a pack is right for your dog. Now, a lot of dogs do very well wearing a dog pack. It's really nice because it can help burn the extra calories, which is great for keeping them fit. It gives them kind of a job to do, and so it can help tire them out a lot more on hikes where maybe you are feeling really tired but not your dog. And there's even a lot of breeds out there that were meant to originally carry packs. I think of St. Bernards, Bernese Mountain Dogs, a lot of your working dog type, draft breeds were originally meant to pull carts, carry packs, and that kind of thing. So they can do very well, especially with heavier packs, and it's really nice to be able to have them help out, especially if you're backpacking. Day hiking it's nice because I'll have my dogs carry their poop and stuff so I don't have to smell it, but backpacking especially is a big pro because you can have them carry their food, maybe even some of their water, and that can help really reduce your pack weight to make the trip more enjoyable for everyone. However, I will say that not all dogs do well carrying a pack, and for some dogs it might not be worth carrying a pack. So you want to think about things like age. Young puppies shouldn't be wearing a pack, or at least a weighted pack while they're growing. It's fine to carry one that's empty so they can get used to it. Older dogs usually probably are not a good idea to have them carry a pack, especially if they're already struggling with arthritis. And then there's just some other dogs that just either don't like it, no matter what you do, or maybe if you're doing a bigger trip, it might not be the best choice. So for example, dog Prima, who you'll see in a little bit when I do some demos, she really likes carrying a pack on day hikes, and it's nice because she can carry poop. And I'll also have her carry packs on short, weekend type backpacking trips, again, just to give her something to do and take some of the weight out of my own pack. But I found that on long distance backpacking trips that she does not do well with any sort of pack on. By long distance trips, I mean really anything that's longer than a week. So how I know this is back in 2018, I tried to hike the Colorado Trail with my dogs. I had Prima carrying all of her food, as much weight as I could have her carry, following the 20% rule. And so that really backfired royally on us. That is one of the main reasons that I had to send them home only 70 miles into our hike, was that I believe weight from the pack helped to cause her feet to become even more sore than they would have already. And so it just made her hot and all sorts of things. So I ended up sending her home. When we hiked the San Luis Loop this last summer, I started out with her carrying almost nothing in her pack, just light things like her water bowl, booties, maybe some treats like her toy, but nothing that would really weigh that much. And she carried that for about a week. But even then, she started getting a little raw and just kind of hot, especially once we got into New Mexico. So I ended up carrying her pack for her literally the whole entire trip, at least 3/4 of the trip. So for her, it does not work well for long distance hikes, but I've seen other dogs that have done through hikes that have carried a pack just fine. So sorry, that's kind of a tangent. It doesn't apply to most people, but I wanted to kind of give that as an example of one dog that does well carrying a pack in some situations, but not in others. The other kind of dog I want to mention is Skittles. Currently doesn't have a dog pack, and the reason why is what I kind of briefly just mentioned, is that you really only want your dog carrying approximately 10 to 20% of its body weight. Again, some breeds your draft type breeds might be able to carry up to 30%, but most dogs won't do well with that, and you should really consult your vet before putting a lot of weight. It just depends on the dog. But if you take that and apply it to a dog that only weighs 11 pounds, like Skittles, which let's just round it down to 10 to make the math easy, 10% of her body weight is only 1 pound. 20% of her body weight is only 2 pounds. So if you buy a dog pack that weighs a pound, what are you going to put in it? A roll of poop bags and some dog poop? She's not going to be able to carry anything. So for me, it's not worth it to buy an extra small dog pack and spend money on that for her to not carry anything, because she's just as happy running around without a dog pack. So just want to throw that out there. Make sure it's going to be the right fit for your dog. And a lot of times you'll just need to try it out and play with it and see if it's something your dog might enjoy, and then go from there. But if they don't like carrying a pack, that's fine. They don't have to carry a pack when you're hiking. Really, having your dog with you on any trip is kind of like a privilege. So it's like they don't have to be carrying their stuff. And I know that's kind of hard when you're backpacking, because then you get to carry it all. But we're all out there to have fun. You want to make sure that your dog especially is having a good time, because they can't choose and they can't tell you otherwise. So if it works out, great. If it doesn't, then you don't need to watch the rest of this video, but please watch it. I need the views. So now I'm actually going to be going through my tips on how to choose a pack. I'm going to go through 7 kind of major ones and then a couple smaller ones at the very end. So we're going to talk about things like fit, size, some features that you might want to look for in your pack that might be good or bad depending on what you want to use it for, as well as cost and those kinds of things. So first of all, let's talk about fit. So fit is for sure the most important thing you can look for when buying a pack. And this is very difficult, right? Because if you're just ordering it from online, it's really hard to tell if it's going to fit your dog or not. You can try to measure your dog and stuff, but it's kind of hard to know how it's going to sit on your dog. So it's really nice if you can order a pack from some place where you can return it if it doesn't fit, or go and try it on. I don't know if they still do this, but some REIs will let you take your dog inside so you can try on the packs that they sell there. Or another option is to order a custom dog pack, which would be the Ground Bird Gear dog packs, where you measure your dog, send in the measurements, and then you get a new pack. So regardless of where you buy your pack from, and if it's custom or not, some features that you might want to look for to increase fit would include adjustable buckles, having some extra padding on the pack, fabric that's breathable or might wick moisture, those kinds of things, because those are all going to decrease the chance that your dog is going to get chafe from the pack. And more specifically, the harness portion of the pack. So this is the harness that goes with Prima's pack. So you'll notice that there's padding underneath the buckles. That way they won't press into her, at least on here, because this is where it's on the rib and it's under the actual pack. Also notice that all these buckles have spots that are adjustable. That way you can change the size. So you want to follow the same rule that you follow with a dog collar or a regular harness, and that is the 2-finger rule, where when you stick your fingers underneath the harness, you should be able to fit 2 fingers under there fairly easily, without suffocating your dog. And that just shows that it's not too tight on your dog. Of course, you don't want it to be too loose, because if it is, then the bags will really move around a lot, and that can cause unnecessary or unintended injuries if there's a lot of movement on the pack. So along with that, really think about where those straps fall along your dog, kind of help you with that too. So are they right in your dog's armpit or a little bit further back? Where is the harness actually resting? Because a lot of dogs, the armpit area has a lot less hair, and so if the pack is rubbing there, it's going to cause chafing, especially if it's too tight, and especially if it's fabric that's going to hold on to sweat, because then when it's wet and it's rubbing and it's hot outside in an area with not very much hair, that's when you get that chafing and that red skin, which could even lead to sores, if they're using over a long period of time. It will just be really uncomfortable and not make the experience very good for your dog. So I would really look into those first. Something else you might want to consider along with that is, where does your pack sit on your dog? So if your saddlebags are right in the middle of their back, that's probably not an optimal pack for your dog. And the reason being is that, that's kind of a weak point, right? So just with human packs, you want packs that don't put all the weight on your shoulders. On dogs, you don't want it in the mid of their back, because especially those longer dogs, that's just a weak point and it can cause a lot of injuries. So having a pack that sits more up over their shoulders is much more optimal, just for reducing the chances of injury, especially if they're carrying a lot of weight and that kind of thing. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to mention is just a really quick way for you to narrow down your options really quickly. And that is whether you want detachable saddlebags or not. So just like I showed you my harness without the saddlebags on it, this is one of 2 brands that I am aware of where you can remove the packs from saddlebags from the harness. It's a pro for a couple reasons, mostly with backpacking. If you're just day hiking, then you might not care as much, but if you're backpacking, it's nice because you can take it off take the saddlebags off during the day to give your dog a rest without having to take the whole contraption off. It's really nice for like river crossings and that kind of thing. So you can take the bags off and then use the harness to help get your dog across safely. That's something I've done in the past, especially in the spring, like late spring, early summer, or like on glacial fed rivers and trying to cross those. The other pro too is that then it becomes a much more versatile piece of gear where you're putting more money into it probably, but you're getting a better like reward where now you have a nice harness and a nice set of saddlebags that you can use together to make a nice dog pack. So, it's like multifunctional, which is kind of nice. There's nothing wrong with just having a regular dog pack, but know that if you want to be able to take the saddlebags off, then your only options currently would be the Roughwear Palisades pack and the Groundbird Gear Roll Top pack. So just by like thinking that through early on, that really, if you decide you want those, that just like eliminates most of the other options on the market. Which leads me to my third point, and that is like what sort of features and bells and whistles do you want on your pack? So do you want a pack with lots of zippers? Do you want a pack that is like a roll top pack? Do you want like bigger saddlebags to hold more weight, or like smaller saddlebags? Do you want it to be more streamlined? What sorts of things are you looking for? How adjustable do you want it to be? Those are all kinds of things that I would think about. And this might have to do with your own hiking and backpacking style, as well as what your intended use is going to be. So if you are just focusing on day hiking with no intention to ever backpack, then you might want something that's a little bit more streamlined, like the Roughwear Streamline backpack. If you want something that has a lot bigger space in the pack, then maybe you want something more like the Roughwear Palisades, which is made for like long distance or like longer backpacking trips. I've seen like others with different shaped bags, like the Tigress backpacks, if you see those on Amazon. Those have a much like squarer shape, so maybe you like that shape better. Something with shock straps. Some of the Tigress packs have shock straps on the outside. My own pack has that as well. So you can stick like a sleeping pad, like a cut down sleeping pad under it, or a dog toy under it. I personally like these because they're roll top, which means I can make the pack like more compact if there's less stuff in it. I can roll it up. There's also this strap at the bottom to make it like smaller. And it just kind of goes with my backpacking style too, where my own backpack, the Hyperlite Mountain Gear Southwest, is also a roll top pack with just like one large compartment. That's what my dog has as well. So, kinds of thinking about what sorts of bells and whistles you want will help you really decide what kind of pack you want, as long as the fit is good. So the next thing I want to kind of discuss is the sturdiness of the materials and how well built the pack is. So this matters a little less if you're just day hiking, but I would still encourage you to look for something that's better made because it will last longer. However, if you're backpacking, this is going to be ultra important, is if it's like something that's well built or not. Because if it's just made out of kind of like crummy, cheap materials, it's probably going to break down really fast, especially if your dog's in the woods, running around, running up against things, versus something that's well made is going to last a long time. It's not going to break at a critical moment when you are a long way from home and now you have to figure out how to cram all their stuff into your own backpack, right? So for example, you can see that Prima's pack is pretty darn beat up. I really am not a big fan or wild about how kind of gross it's gotten over time. But a testament to it is that we've had this for 2 years, have quite a few trail miles on it. And even though it looks gross, like structurally, it's very well built. There's no holes. There's nothing that's really falling apart. I mean, the like visual effects as far as like visibility has kind of got a couple holes in it, but like the pack itself is held up really well. And that's considering that we like hike off leash. So Prima can like go rub against rocks and that kind of thing. We have done like 14ers with that on, where again, she's rubbed up against boulders and rock hopped. We've hiked off trail where it's like through the brambles, like getting grabbed by all the sticks and stuff, and it's held up. So that's a pretty good testament to how well that's built, and I know it's going to last a long time. So my investment is going to go a long ways. So I would encourage you to kind of think about that and consider that, which leads me into my last kind of main point, which is the cost. So in my experience, especially with dog packs, the better packs are probably going to be more expensive. And I know this like irks a lot of people because they're like, well, I don't want to spend 150, 200 bucks on my dog's backpack. And it's like, well, like how long do you want it to last? Again, I spent, I think 150 on my pack, which was 2 years ago. They're more expensive now, but it's lasted me over 2 years, and it will continue to last me a long time. I don't think I'm going to need to replace it necessarily for a long time. Same, I've heard that about other packs that they've lasted a long time, whereas if you buy the cheapest one that you can go get at PetSmart, I don't think I would have high hopes on how long it's going to last. Short term, it might get you through as long as all those other points, especially fit, you've hit, then okay, go for it. But I would just say that price is pretty well correlated with quality when it comes to this type of product, looking at your gear. So, do what you can. Maybe, forego having a pack for a little while and save up and buy a nicer pack is what I would recommend. Because again, your dog doesn't have to wear a dog pack. So it's one of those things where you really can spend your time saving up and buy a nicer piece of gear that's going to last you longer, rather than like your own backpack or some other more essential piece of gear where it's kind of like, well, you can't go out without the 10 essentials, so you need to take something with you. This is something that you can wait, save up, and buy the nicer thing. So I would really say that. So I do have 3 kind of last tips or hacks or things you might want to consider that are a lot less important. They're not going to, weigh as much on your decisions, but maybe if you're you've picked your pack, but you're trying to decide, or you've picked a brand and you're trying to decide and they're pretty similar, or 2 different brands that are very similar and you're trying to decide between the 2 and you're undecided, these might be the tiebreaker. So the first of those things is color. Some people like colors that blend into the scenery a lot more, so they're not as jarring. People want stuff that stands out so they can see their dogs. So I personally really like this color combination. It's called the safety dance. And the reason why I like it is because if you have to bear hang your dog's food, you can just leave it in a bag, bear hang it, and then it's really easy to find your bear hang in the morning. So I've done that quite often. It's just put the dog food in here and do a PCT bear hang, and then it's really easy to find in the morning. Another nice thing is there's the reflective strips too, so that's something you might want to consider is nighttime visibility if it has anything related to that. The second kind of tip I have, or thing to think about maybe, is how easy will it get caught on stuff. So like I said, I let my dogs hike off leash most of the time where it's legal. And so since we hike off trail a lot too, or in places that are brushy, like here in Alaska, having something that's not going to get caught all the time is a pro. So this one has a couple spots where it can get caught. It can get caught under here. These have started to come off this reflective siding. And so I've had branches get stuck on here, but the pack itself is made so that there's less straps. So I've seen some dog packs where the saddlebags are adjustable height-wise and there's extra straps, and to me that just seems like it could get caught a lot easier and pulled on by stuff when they're running by. And then the very last one you might want to consider is the overall look on your dog. So personally, I really like this Groundbird Gear pack visually a lot more than I like the Palisades pack on dogs. I personally just am not a fan of the look of the really big panniers or saddlebags sticking way out on dogs. I like the smaller packs. They're much more compact and roll up and don't stick way out. It's just a visual preference thing, right? Really, as long as they both work the same, does it really matter? No. Most people really like rough wear. Other packs that I think just look a little strange as well, but they probably work just fine. So that's just a personal preference. At the end of the day, I kind of like the look of my pack on my dog, and so I'm fine taking pictures of her wearing it. And it's kind of a vanity thing, but once again, if you're trying to come up with a tiebreaker between 2 packs, maybe that's something you can consider to help you make a decision. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful for you. Again, this is a question I see asked quite often, but people have so many different circumstances. So just kind of take into consideration what you're doing with your dog, what you want to use the pack for, as well as your dog's preferences, and then go from there. And again, I'd really encourage you to try stuff out, try it on. There's some dogs that I've heard rough wear just does not fit very well, even though that is a very highly recommended brand. There's plenty of packs out there, so just give them a shot, right? So question of the day, does your dog currently wear a pack or not? And if they do, what kind of brand do you currently use? So be sure to let me know down in the comments below. And if you found this video to be helpful, I would sure appreciate a thumbs up. It just lets me know that I should keep focusing on making more videos like this. And be sure to stay tuned in the future. When I do get around to being able to do some of those actual gear reviews and comparisons, I'll be sure to link them down in the description below. But until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day and happy trails to you and your dog.